It's 2025 and it's New Year resolution time, whether you like them or not. I will say the new year does have something, it gives you a little something about wanting to set some New Year's resolutions and stick to them. The problem is a lot of people don't end up sticking to their New Year's resolutions, and I think that's not because of the lack of commitment or lack of discipline. I think it's more just because of a lack of proper planning and perhaps being a little bit too ambitious to start off with, and then not having regular check-in points. So in this video, I'm going to talk through specifically my own dance and fitness goals for the year. We're going to break it down into a couple of categories and I'll explain why in a second. Then I'm going to sort of, in each category, just pick one goal in that category that's going to make like 80% of the difference to that entire category. Then I'm going to look at how I'm actually going to achieve that goal. Just stick with me. This isn't one of those like do X, Y, and Z and everything will be amazing kind of videos. I'm hoping I'm going to give you a little bit of a new take on this. My only goal for health and fitness is to be a well-rounded, healthy athlete. And I've used the word athlete specifically because the way that an athlete trains, thinks, and approaches their training, their sport, their lifestyle is very different to someone who just wants to, be a hobbyist dancer. That's my goal. Now you may look at that and be like, that's not a real goal. No, it's not a real goal because it's not like one of those SMART goals, right? So what does it mean to be a well-rounded athlete? Well, for me, it's like I'm not just good at strength or weightlifting, or I'm not just good at dancing, but I'm also good at cardio, I'm also good at mobility, I'm also good at flexibility. This is what well-rounded means to me. And in all honesty, when I think about longevity of life and being healthy in old age, for me, what makes most sense is to have all of these things to a high standard in all levels, to not just be, lifting heavy and have zero mobility, so that when I get old or something happens, I can't move around. But for me, being able to level up in every single one of these categories is of utmost importance, not just for the short term, kind of, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I can lift things, my body looks great, but from a long-term perspective of being healthy, being able to run around at an older age, being able to lift things at an older age, being able to fall over and not stay fallen over at an older age. All of these things for me is really important from a long-term perspective, which is my why. That is my why. And that's number one, is to determine a strong reason for doing things, which is what everyone always says, so we'll move on. So the categories are mobility, flexibility, dance, strength, mindset, cardio. And the questions that I'm going to be asking are these. What's the one goal in this category that will make an 80% difference? How does that goal look like if I had a quarterly checkpoint? What is the first step I need to take to get started? And how can I add it to my current schedule? How will I measure this? Do I need any tools? So let's start off with something that's very easy to measure, and let's go cardio. Now, cardiovascular health, there's loads of things that you can do to measure this, right? For me, I don't have the tools or the know-how to do that, and I'm not willing to learn right now. But for me, I think from a cardio perspective, I'm not a runner at all. So I would like to be able to comfortably run a 10K. That is my goal. A 10K by the end of the year. So this is my SMART goal. A goal like that is gonna produce the most results. Why? Because I'm gonna have to take loads of steps to improve my cardiovascular fitness to be able to achieve that. So the quarterly checkpoint, divide 10 by 4 is 2.5. So in 3 months' time, I should be able to comfortably run 2.5K, which when you say it like that, it sounds really easy and manageable, right? So what's the first step I need to take in order to get started? It will be as simple as making sure I run at least 1K. So my first gym sessions, the first few gym sessions I do now is at the start to run 1K on the treadmill. That's it. That's all I need to do. 1K on the treadmill. That's the first step. I don't need to think about the next step. I just need to get that one done and completed. And then once that is, and I'm comfortable there, then I can look at increasing incrementally and slowly. And the third thing is, how will I measure this? This is most important. So I'm trying to get to 2.5K. I'm going to start off on the 1K first. I've got an app called Strong, which I use in the gym anyway. So I already use this. All I've got to do is add and log the run. So what I've done here is I've got something which seems like quite a big goal for someone that doesn't run. I've split it up into 4. I've given myself 3 months to achieve a very simple 2.5K, and I'm adding that to something I already do. I already go to the gym. I already do a mini warm-up and a stretch. Now I'm just adding a 1K run to it at the start, and I'm not timing myself. So if I have to walk 1K, then I will walk 1K. But ultimately, I want to get to a point where I'm running comfortably 1K. That's the first category. Check. Done. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to go with mindset. My mindset at the moment, I would say, is pretty good, and I would like to maintain a growth mindset, a positive mindset, and to continue that. Now, with anything, you have to feed. I feel like life always moves towards chaos. Life always moves towards entropy. And because of that, everything we do, we try and maintain, we try and pull it back from that chaos. Like if I was never to exercise, never to run, and to leave myself to my own devices, I would probably be pretty unhealthy, eating chocolates all the time, eating unhealthy food, burgers, all that sort of stuff, never exercising, getting more and more ill and unwell. For some reason, that seems to be my natural state. It might be yours too, but it seems to be mine. Like if I don't force myself to get out and get going and get started, I would spend all day, every day in bed, not moving, not socializing, not really doing much. So for me personally, I have to constantly feed myself good, motivational, positive reasons for being, reasons for getting up early, reasons for, achieving in life. I have to feed myself with that constantly so that I don't end up in the opposite state. And so I haven't done much reading this year, which is something I think I've really missed. I really enjoyed that kind of, that feeling from reading that I get, being able to write notes, being able to listen to new ideas. And I think that helps to feed into that positive growth mindset, both from a growth perspective in terms of learning new information and positive mindset from the kind of content that I'm consuming, which is like the positivity, business, health, good habits kind of books. So what does this look like? I would really like to read more books. I guess you can say a number to... I think in an ideal world, that'd probably be 2 books a quarter. So my quarterly goal will be to read 2 books in 3 months, which again, I think is fairly achievable as long as I set time aside for it. The first step for me to do that is to do a little bit of research as to which books I want to spend my time on and to purchase those books, and then to schedule in my first day where I can just read 1 page. So all I've got to do is read 1 page. Again, very doable, very manageable. Let's move on to the third category, and that is strength. So I've got some numbers here, and I've basically focused on just 3 exercises. Why? Because if I can push myself in these 3 exercises, the rest kind of tend to follow. So as long as I know like these 3 exercises, this is what I'm working on for pushing, then if I do squats, for example, I will always do things like leg extension to help support my knees whilst I'm doing the squat. And I'll always, again, push myself for that because I push myself in the squat. So I've got 3 here, which is the squat, the bench press, and deadlift. Squat, I'd like to get to 80 kilograms. Same with the deadlift, 80 kilograms as well. I think I'm about 70 on both. And then bench press, my upper body's totally weak. It's 35 kilograms I would like to get up to. I'm on about 25 at the moment. That's 10 kilograms in the space of 1 year. Again, if you think about that quarter, that's 2.5 kilograms per quarter. And again, I think that's totally 100% doable. It means that by the end of the first quarter, I need to get to 72.5 kilograms on the squat and on the deadlift, or 27.5 on bench press. And again, these are habits that I already have. I already go to the gym. All I've got to do is just try and aim to add that little bit, 0.5 extra, 1.25 extra onto each side so that I can actually increase my weight over time. How am I going to measure it? Again, with the Strong app. Next up, we have dance. Now in dance, I would really like to improve my technique and just making sure my technique is totally on point, and also my styling, to make sure that there's never a time where something is slightly out of place, or my posture is slightly out of place, or a hand is slightly out of place. I would like to be very precise, very accurate in the way that I dance. Now this is a hard one, because how do you turn that into something you can measure, right? How do you turn how something looks into something quantitative? So I had to think about this one, and I thought to myself, the times where I actually grow the most, or improve the most, or focus the most on my technique is when I am preparing for a show, or when I'm preparing for a competition. So I've challenged myself this year to come up with a solo show, so that is something that I can work on my own to improve my dancing. So what does that look like in terms of a quarterly goal? Whenever I do choreographies, I tend to do multiple songs. So as a quarterly goal, I want to choreograph and film one basically section or one song with the choreography and put it on social media. That's the goal for 3 months. And I think, again, it is doable. Sometimes life gets in the way. This is a thing that happens. But if I have things to work towards, then it kind of sets that direction for that sort of thing. So that when things do come in, you can kind of second guess whether it actually contributes to your goals or not. So what's the first step I can do is just pick a song I like that I feel like has nice musicality bits. First step, very easy. I listen to bachata music anyway, so now I can listen to it with the intention of picking a good song for a choreography. The fifth category is flexibility. There's two poses in particular that I really struggle with. That is the splits, which, you know, it seems to be a thing that all dancers can do, and also pigeon pose, which I've got very tight, painful hips. So being able to sit in pigeon pose would be, I think, a very good goal for me to achieve just in terms of hip well-being and hip health. Quarterly, that will be basically being a quarter of the way closer to the ground. And I guess the best way, there's two ways you could measure this. I could do this as a 30-day challenge where I stretch every day and I do as a habit tracker, so I tick them off every single day I do it. Or alternatively, I could do this as like a progress photo. So kind of take a photo of where I am now, and then later sort of do the 30-day challenge or whatever 3-month challenge as it were, and then after that take another photo and just see if I have indeed gotten further. Now, one of the things with these checkpoints is it allows you to have accountability throughout the year rather than just at the end of the year. You're like, oh, I haven't achieved anything, I actually forgot about all my New Year's resolutions. Because the thing is, if it gets to, let's say, a quarter of the year through, and you look at your progress photos and you're like, I actually haven't progressed at all, and I don't feel like this is making any difference, this is your opportunity. You still have 3/4 of the year left. This is your opportunity to pivot and try a different strategy or keep persisting with the one you have. But the important bit is you keep yourself accountable. And finally, we have the mobility, which again, like flexibility, can be hard to measure. For me, I would like to just generally be more mobile, but what does that mean? I find I tend to improve the most when I'm committing to a regular yoga session. So I think for me, my goal will be a weekly yoga session, whether that's guided in a place or at hot pod yoga, or it is at home in my own space with a YouTube video, but at least one a week I think will really help as a quarterly goal anyway. And I think this is one of the ones where sort of afterwards I kind of see, can I increase this to 2? Can I increase this to 3? See how I'm going, see how I'm feeling, and see if it's the right strategy for me to become more mobile. So the first step to get this started for me anyway is to just schedule in the session. I'd love to say at the same time and day every single week, but with my schedule that's not always possible. But just to make sure that every single week I have this hour for yoga scheduled in would help me definitely to start to commit to it. So those are all my dance and fitness goals. I've kind of, as I said, tried to do it in a way that makes it as easy as possible for me to commit to and still enjoy, and also make sure that I stay accountable throughout time, so that I don't get to the end of the year thinking, oh, I haven't achieved X, Y, and Z, I haven't got to where I am, or if anything, I'm worse off than I was at the start of the year. I'd be really curious to know what your general goals are, but also your health, wellness, fitness goals. You can pop them down in the description below. But more importantly for me, not just your goals, but like what strategies do you have in place to keep your goals, to keep yourself accountable, to make sure that you can actually achieve the things that you set out to achieve. If you found this video useful or entertaining, please like and subscribe and leave a comment as well. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an absolutely incredible year where all the things that you set out to achieve, you achieve, all the goals you put forward to yourself, you absolutely smash, and you are healthier and happier than you have ever been before. Lots of love. I'll see you in the next video.